Road. No news again, we're waiting for snow to subside, which should be happening by next month based on the weather forecast. And my understanding is that Mr. Landon and John and actually one of the engineers to do slopes, ski slopes.
Okay.
Sorry. So he was going to do a site visit based on the grading there for stabilization, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I told him just wait until after the snow melts. But John had called me, I was looking at
From an engineering standpoint, we can't do anything.
Right.
The snow is covering. So, other than that, that is John's update for February. Hopefully, snow melts and we'll have at least up movement on 2 of the 3.
Back to normal.
Question for you
Land
on 31ville Road, Delinquent. If her electric was through the other electric company. Med-Ed, would
Med-Ed.
Pico know that?
Oh, that's a good question. I have Pico written down here. Maybe, I just thought they were Pico and John said electric company and I wrote down
I always
Pico.
think Pico when you say electric.
I thought everybody in our township was on
No.
Wow.
Pico.
See, that might be my mistake. So
So
I
now we need to
wrote,
call them.
John's report does not say Pico. I wrote down Pico because I thought Upper Fred was all served by Pico.
Yeah, but I gave John Pico's phone number.
Okay, I will look for, thanks for catching that, because I
wouldn't
wouldn't,
just say maybe it's the other one.
you'd hear me
Yeah,
talk
I
about
didn't
that.
realize that either.
But I didn't know
There's
Pico
two.
would know that anyway.
I don't know whether they would or not, to be honest.
If it's not their line.
Well, that could be why
Sure,
Pico
but
says
they would
that
know.
she doesn't have electric.
Right.
Yeah, that could be.
Maybe she does, just
Yeah,
not
but
by
I did
Pico.
talk to John, Tuesday or Monday. I talked to John and he said he was gonna stop by
Okay.
and see if it was a new electrical meter, like I guess if it's electric, it doesn't spin, but the old school ones, when I was a kid, they spun around.
Yeah, most of the
Yeah,
new
so
ones
he
are
was gonna
digital.
look and see, so if it's digital, it should be displaying some type of usage on there.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
But she ain't
exactly.
staying in there with no heat. Not
Oh, no,
minus
she's got
degree.
lights, extension cords and everything.
Yeah.
Not unless she's lighting a car on fire.
So you gotta ask John to call.
Yeah, can't imagine what that's like. But I will confirm that with John, and if John thinks it's Pico and it's not, then we'll be calling that in.
Yeah, I might set him up for failure, sorry.
Well, a good thing though, because otherwise I'd still be telling you, Pico's got no idea. Well, there's a really good reason why, I'm sure,
Yeah.
Alabama Power and Light doesn't know either,
Whoopsies.
so.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay, thank you.
won't be my
Okay.
last mistake, for
Okay, so, yeah, thanks for the question there.
sure. All right, Bob Marriott's not here. Buck, did you go there, Buck Reed?
I did not.
You didn't go to CP? Okay. I don't think we have enough update from there, do you?
No, I did not.
Okay. Well, there goes that. New business?
No,
No, hold on, I got one last one, yeah, Miss, I saw her here, Tracy, is she here?
I think she left.
Her and Miss Dawn are always on a short schedule. All right, Lisa? That's it, all right, you can give it.
Parks and Recs met last night. Their meeting is on the third Tuesday. Sometimes it happens the day before the BOS meeting. They are assigning responsibility for Community Day. It's what they spent the majority of their meeting on last night. And basically, tuning that event up to make it a little more inviting to everybody and give it a little more character than it's had, in their opinion. But they're working and making great progress to that, and they hope everyone comes out on September 26th for that.
So that's the date?
Yes.
September
The last Saturday in September, it's September 26th. We already have Jeff Stat scheduled, as well as the request with the sheriffs for the EOD dog again.
Oh,
Awesome.
I did have it on my calendar.
Okay. Thank you for that update. Now we can hit new business. Approval for advertising of ordinance 2026-02, use reg amendments, residential. Ms. Vicky, we're waiting on, we need to make a motion for this, but it's pending your markup. Am I correct on that?
Correct, well, and this is just to advertise it, and it's gotta go to the county to be reviewed and go through the formal process. This is the one that you discussed at length at the last work session.
This
It's
is what
only
we're
the
talking
beginning
about, right?
part, yes, right, it's only the beginning part that we worked through here together at the work session.
We'll get into agriculture next.
Okay.
Okay,
So, motion, ready?
Yeah,
I make a motion for the approval of advertising of ordinance 2026-02 for use regulation amendments residential.
Do I second it?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Yeah, just given the timing, that means it's probably gonna be on your agenda in April.
Okay. Review of proposed Portnoff contract and vote to enter contract. This here is to handle our delinquent payers for water and sewer, water, things like that. Unfortunately, we have some folks that haven't paid in 2 years or close to a year without making payments here. So this here would be to authorize Portnoff to go ahead and, receive our money for us.
Working in the collection efforts.
Working in the collection effort, yeah, because we would be 24/7 doing it if it was us.
Quick question, is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
in the developments?
Just,
Where-
yes, ma'am. The
Okay,
development per crossing in Ivy Ridge here.
okay.
Yep.
No, not if it includes taxes.
Right, that's just for water and sewer. If
Right,
it
it
included
includes taxes,
taxes,
it's
this
the whole
includes
township.
taxes, it would be the whole township.
No, I was looking at water and sewer, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, did you have a chance to review it, Bill? Lisa?
I did read through it once. I'm not prepared to vote in favor of it right now until I review it again, and I'd rather see other options presented first. You can either take my no vote or table it.
What you got, Miss Lisa?
I was fine with approving it.
You gotta start somewhere, is where I sit. You know what I mean? We could always go back and undo this too, is how I look at
I
it.
agree, but
But we gotta start
We gotta
somewhere.
cancel the term, but we can't take on
Yeah,
2 years of bad debt with, whether it's water, sewer, or taxes.
right.
We don't have the specialists to do collection efforts.
Okay.
Right, so I think we gotta start somewhere. So I too am in favor of doing it as well to get started. Then we can go from there to peel it back. Or, if you wanna review it another time, bring it up, we'll review it again, you know what I mean?
Does the
Right.
contract require 90 days termination?
I believe that's correct.
So, yes, it expires on the 31st, December 31st of 2028. After the initial term, it automatically renews for 2-year periods unless either party provides written notice of termination no later than 90 days prior to the expiration of the current term. So you'd have to wait at least until, the initial thing would be until December 31st of 2028. You can't, doesn't allow you to terminate any sooner than that.
So it does give you 2 years, you're locked in.
Correct.
All right, let's table this one. I'm in favor of tabling it too.
I'm in favor of table, I don't like being locked in for 2 years.
Me either.
2
Yeah,
years.
let's do that away.
So we either renegotiate to a lower term or at least allow the 90-day out clause to take effect.
Or
They
take the
probably charge us
tax,
a
or
penalty,
take
they
the
probably
taxes
charge
out
us a
of it.
penalty
Yeah,
for that, but we should understand what that
I mean,
penalty
if
would
they,
be.
if they take the
Right.
taxes out of it, I'm good.
all right. So I'm not in favor of doing anything with it. We'll just push that over.
I just have a concern with the terms, termination terms.
All right, so that takes care of those two, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then, we have an approval for advertising ordinance 2026-03. It's a fee structure for the solicitor.
That's Portnoff
Oh,
also.
that's all three of them.
Yep, all three.
All right. Okay, this one's, Ms. Deneen, our tax collector. Approval for advertising ordinance 2026-04. Tax round to match Montgomery County. Ms. Kratz, you wanna tell everybody why what you approached this for? You gotta come up here and tell us who you are, where you live. Can't just talk from the seats.
Open church Sunday.
I had, asked you guys at the business workshop, and I had sent it over to Aaron asking you to round up, like the county rounds up for the, county, for the township taxes and the firehouse tax. And I think I sent over, suggested resolution to Aaron.
And we prepared an actual ordinance for the board to be able to do it. It would allow the tax bills to be rounded up or rounded down, depending on where they fall. Obviously, if they're under 50 cents, they round down. If it's over 50 cents, they round up. As part of the problem with, number one, not having pennies anymore eventually, because you can't do that. And also So for you tonight, it would just be to authorize
The
advertising or doing
advertising, okay, you ready? I make a motion to approve the advertising of ordinance 2026-04 to round the tax round to match Montgomery County.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, then a report from you, Mr. Walliger?
All right. Historically, last 3 or 4 years, we've had relatively light snowfall. So a lot of salt suppliers have started trying to keep their supply pretty thin. With the snowstorm we had in January, that created a foreseen requirement for salt, but the suppliers were not able to supply that amount of salt. We had entered into an agreement with the Montgomery County Consortium of Communities and an agreed on price. This price beat the state's cost by almost $20 per ton. It's approximately about a 25% savings to the township over the CoStar's price. That was with Morton Salt. Morton Salt, we placed an order for 200 tons of salt before the storm, and they were unable to deliver. As part of an effort to make sure we had enough to actually clear the roads during the storm, we purchased an extra 30 tons from another local mine here in the state at a considerable cost. And that was pretty much one of 2 companies in the state that had salt at that time. And part of the contract we have with Morton Salt requires if they're unable to make delivery within 3 days, they have to pay any difference in the amount of cost. We have filed that complaint for reimbursement of the extra cost to the township for that expenditure. So far, Morton has only delivered 100 tons of that 200-ton order. They're still waiting on the rest of that order. Some of this could be contributed to the Delaware freezing.
Yes.
However, Morton's response was to have us drive our municipal trucks to the docks in Newark, New Jersey, to pick up our own salt. So, we're working with the consortium to take the correct legal action. We're in the process right now of hiring a solicitor to take legal action against Morton. And
Meaning the consortium
the
is.
consortium is, yes. And us as a member of that consortium. For next year, I'm taking some actions to try to prevent this occurring again in case we have another strong winter. We're going to enter into 2 contracts for next year. We have already entered into the state contract, which is done by PennDOT, and that'll be at the CoStar's price. We will also be participating in the next consortium contract as well. That way we have 2 contracted sources at reasonable amounts to be able to get salt for in case one isn't able to deliver. What I have worked with Steve on is we've worked on a process to basically figure out the right amount of because these contracts are based on tonnage. We basically put our tonnage and we have to buy a certain percent of that, usually about 60%. We've worked out our calculations to make sure that we are still fine even if we have to pay on both contracts and we have a very mild winter. We are one of the lucky municipalities that has a relatively large storage capacity for salt. We can take almost 1,000 tons of salt in our salt farm, which far exceeds most municipalities. So we'd be able to hold that and basically adjust for it in oncoming years, in 28 essentially. But I did want to update you that we are currently sitting at about 130 tons of salt, so we are prepared for any late winter storms that may occur. I've also directed Public Works to add basically a traction additive. It's called anti-skid to the salt. This is basically ground up rock. It's not dirt, doesn't get your car dirty. But it basically creates a lot of traction for you in snow or ice. If we get cold enough where ice doesn't work, because under about 20 degrees, ice doesn't melt with salt. And so by adding that anti-skid is roughly about half the cost of what salt is. We're able to make our salt supply last longer while still giving our residents the ability to drive on the roads and get the traction they're looking for. And we're going to make those changes going forward here. Past managers have basically tried to use sand, which makes cars incredibly dirty. And no one likes that at all. No one wants to clean the crud off their car in the middle of winter. or have to pay, a place to go do that and then scratch up the car. So we're gonna make that change going forward. I just wanted to let the board know that that was what's going on. I've talked to you most about this before, but I wanted to let everyone know here that that's the step we're taking to make sure that we continue to be, kind of the, example of how to clear a road in winter.
Great, thank you.
Okay, old business, volunteer tax credit discussion, some examples provided. On the, in the bottom of your binder there, Miss Lisa.
Yeah, so we started to talk about this last time because
Right.
the township offers a tax credit for volunteers of the fire company and EMSs. Right now, the criteria is just that you have to be a township resident and you have served as an active volunteer for the entire preceding calendar year. We had talked about whether or not there should be, any kind of additional criteria to that. Usually, most municipalities have either a point system or a minimum number of volunteer hours or something like that. So I pulled a couple of the other boroughs and townships, their criteria, so that you could take a look at it and figure out, what, if anything, you would want to consider having is the point system. One of the things that you had pointed out was, Bill, that you wanted to make sure that officers got a certain amount of credit just for serving in office on behalf of the fire company, and there is at least one good one in here that does that. You automatically get a certain amount of points just for being, holding elective office, and then there's additional points that are gained by participating in fundraisers, participating in work in the house and not necessarily out in an emergency situation, that type of
The
thing.
admin side.
Exactly, the admin side, because you wanted to make sure that that was covered as well. You wanted to make sure that they were getting credit for what they did in-house, even if it wasn't running on a car, so. I don't know if you got a chance to look through them, and if there was any that you liked better, or,
Can we just make a comment on that?
Yeah.
So the county does require us to follow certain criteria
Mhm.
to get a county tax reimbursement as volunteers. It may be worth your time to just follow that. And exactly what Bill's referring to is exactly how the county would follow it, and so there's certain criteria that you need.
Do
So
you
we can-
have-
We can provide that.
do you have a copy of that? Yeah,
Sure,
Can
right.
you send it?
That would probably make
That's-
your life a lot easier if you're trying to consider it.
Yeah, that would 100%.
Because we already have to track everything to that anyway, so. then
Correct, and
whatever
then you're not
you require of us, we can
duplicating.
do.
Yeah.
We
Correct.
can just take whatever you
Correct.
provide, perfect.
Correct.
That would be perfect, if you could get that to
That would
us.
probably be fine to accomplish.
Glad you stayed, so that you could tell us that. That was very helpful. Okay.
Okay, then I guess we'll table that until we
Yep.
see what Jay
That's
has.
Yep.
All right, well, that was wonderful. All right, any other public comment? All right, perfect. Yeah. Parks and Rec Board's gonna meet 2/17/26.
Oh,
Because we were delayed.
Oh.
yeah, so that was yesterday.
There you
It'll
go.
be 317. It will be 317 for the Parks and Rec Board and 319 for planning.
No.
Well, 2/19, because the
2/19.
planning meeting
We're
tomorrow.
gonna see you tomorrow.
I did the planning commission's announcements, and so I have it one day in advance.
Yes, okay. So, yeah, so you have Parks and Rec, 3/17/26, 7 PM. Planning Commission Board, 2/19/26, 7 PM. Open Space Board, 2019-26, 7 PM. Our BOS workshop meeting will be on 3/4 at 7 PM. And our BOSB business meeting will be 3/11 at 7 PM. I'll get it out there eventually. No other public comment, you sure?
Thank you to the
Make a
township
move.
for keeping the roads clear.
Yes, ma'am. I got a million calls about the roads this week, so, with the snow, so I was super happy to give them guys kudos. But, I make a motion to adjourn this beautiful meeting. All those in favor?